This Earth, which looks so calm, green, and familiar today, was once an unimaginable battlefield. Here ruled enormous giants, some peaceful herbivores, others merciless predators. But one day, by nature's command, a massive fireball struck the Earth, and in that blaze, countless stories of life were erased forever. Today, we travel back to that final day, when a mighty Chironosaurus guarded its eggs against a cunning, fierce hunter, the Velociraptor. Let's listen to the final breath of the dinosaur age. This is Wild Tales, where nature tells her own story. This 12-meter-long, 4-ton giant was a calm herbivore. At this moment, a Chironosaurus is carefully burying its eggs under the warm sand, unaware that a hungry gaze is fixed on its nest nearby. It's a Velociraptor, with dagger-sharp claws and a predator's mind. In the ancient deserts of Mongolia, it was known as the fox of the Cretaceous age, small in size but deadly in wit and teamwork. The Velociraptor belonged to the dromaeosaurid family, considered the smartest of all dinosaurs. Its brain-to-body ratio was far higher than others. Intelligence, speed, and strategy, that was its real weapon. But it knew challenging the massive Chironosaurus directly would be suicide. Its target were the eggs. As soon as the Chironosaurus moved away, the raptor crept in silently and began stealing the eggs. But just then, a shadow loomed behind it. The Chironosaurus had returned. A battle began, completely uneven. On one side, a gigantic but slow herbivore. On the other, a lightning-fast killer. The Chironosaurus was strong, but not skilled in combat. Then suddenly, out of the darkness, came another Velociraptor. Now they were two. Together, they attacked. One leapt onto its back, digging claws deep into its neck, while the other went straight for the artery. In seconds, the giant collapsed, lifeless. But they had no idea. The true destruction was still to come. Far away at the other side of the Earth, a massive explosion sent fire roaring into the sky. 80 billion tons of rock and ash had been thrown into the atmosphere. Each particle of that cloud carried death. As they rubbed through the air, they heated up to 8,000 degrees Celsius. The entire sky turned into flames. 45 minutes later, that burning cloud reached Mongolia. A haunting silence covered everything. No sound, no movement, only an invisible wave of heat. At 50 degrees Celsius, life struggles. At 70 degrees Celsius, breathing becomes impossible. At 90 degrees Celsius, death is certain. Within 90 minutes, Mongolia's ground temperature rose to 150 degrees Celsius. Countless dinosaurs burned alive. Only those hidden deep in caves survived. In one such cave, enemies turned into neighbors. Velociraptors and Chironosaurus lay side by side, no longer fighting, just surviving. Hunger and fear had ended their rivalry. In the Pacific Basin, a few Triceratops still lived. Thick forests gave them a little shade, but the suffocating heat was unbearable. They began wandering, searching for cooler ground. After 5 long hours, the temperature started to fall. The dinosaurs inside caves slowly began to emerge. 2 Velociraptors came out first, followed by 2 Chironosaurus. All were dehydrated, exhausted, desperate for water. But one Chironosaurus decided to stay back inside, and that decision would save its life. As the skies cleared, the cold air above met the hot air below, creating a violent atmospheric surge. It gave birth to a super sandstorm, a monstrous wave of dust and wind sharp as a million blades. The small Velociraptors somehow made it back to their hiding spots, but the massive Chironosaurus had nowhere to run. Sand slashed through their skin, fine dust entered their lungs, and one by one they collapsed, buried alive under the storm. Hours later, the winds died down. From the depths of the cave, one Chironosaurus emerged, the only survivor. It was weak, trembling, but alive. Its first instinct, find water. As it staggered across the scorched land, it wasn't alone. Two Velociraptors had also survived. Hunger and thirst drove them all towards the same direction, the riverbed. Finally, the Chironosaurus reached the water. It bent down and drank, deeply, gratefully. For a moment, it felt peace. But from the shadows, one Velociraptor crept closer, eyes burning with hunger, body trembling with weakness, but still filled with rage. It attacked. The tired Chironosaurus struggled to defend itself, but this time it used its strength. A single heavy strike crushed the raptor beneath its body. The second Velociraptor came closer, but didn't attack. It simply sat beside its dead companion and began to feed on it. This was survival in its purest, cruelest form. A week after the impact, the world's food chain had collapsed. The sky was thick with dust, the sun dim, temperatures uncertain. The age of dinosaurs was ending. Now, survival depended not on strength, but on adaptability. Those who could change lived. Those who couldn't vanished forever. The Chironosaurus walked away slowly, tired, alone, but alive. Its shadow faded behind the dunes. The earth was turning towards a new age, but the chapter of dinosaurs had closed. This story reminds us, on this planet, it is not the strongest or the smartest who survive, but those who adapt to change. If you love stories of nature's hidden truths, subscribe to Wild Tales, where every story reminds us that the greatest teacher of all is nature itself.